welcome back to the American Collegiate Esports League, where during this week we have Rio Grande Valley versus UT El Paso, and we just concluded Game 1, a convincing victory going over to El Paso, and now we have the ban phase coming.
Come back strong.
And so you can see right off the get-go, we have Rio Grande Valley targeting that Gallia, which was such a problem for them. But ironically enough, I don't know if the Gallia was the biggest issue. It was really the plays that were being made on jungle that allowed them to, just excel.
Yeah, definitely. And adding on to that point, the Galio definitely wasn't the primary problem. The reason he was scaling so hard because he was already 3-0 by the time Maximum Magnus was done with his work, which is why I guess Rio Grande Valley in that early ban phase banned out Maximum Magnus's Shaco. We were questioning that Shaco ban, but after seeing that Warwick, I could definitely see why they target ban that Shaco.
And something I really hope to see. Oh, let's take a look at that. The first pick, Zoe. Zoe, my bad. It's quite a bursty champion. You can do a lot of it. That sleepy trouble bubble, so obnoxious to worry about. The range is ridiculous. 2 seconds sleep. What do you think about it?
It is ridiculous. The range on it is incredible because of the way it works. The mechanic works from passing through walls, and it looks like we are having a little bit of a visual bug for the stream. The graphic doesn't seem to be going away, so we cannot see this champion select, but just
going over what's been picked so far on UTEP side, they're going with the Zoe, and they're now picking up a Thresh. And on Rio Grande Valley side, they have a Taric and a Nidalee. Something we haven't seen in a while, but, still can be quite versatile with the damage and mobility that she brings to the fights.
Yeah, we're going to be looking to clear away that graphic just as Rio Grande Valley is going to try and clear away that early jungle and mid pressure and top pressure, especially coming in from the jungle side. We'll have to see what Maximum Magnus picks up for his jungle, because it looks like he is the focus for this game and pretty much the playmaker for his team.
And so the transition is now live back onto the stream.
Welcome back.
And so all good to go on that front. And it looks like they were scared enough of the Shaco hover that they do ban it out in the second round.
Yeah, so really interesting picks coming out here from Rio Grande Valley. The other set that I casted for them, they seem to hover around their favorable comp, which is that team fight late game oriented team comp, but it doesn't look like they want to play that versus El Paso. They seem to be scared of that early game, so they are picking a few more mid game oriented champions. Nidalee, Zed going down for even more early counter pressure and a more fair fight in the jungle early game.
How do you feel about the Zed into the Zoe?
So, I might be biased just because I am personally an assassin main, a Zed main specifically for the mid lane, but I do believe that he has all of the utility and all the tools necessary to beat out that Zoe in most of the laning phase. Decent pressure, just has to really watch out for her one damaging move, which is that obnoxious Q. I can't quite remember the name for it right now, but Zed is fully able to pretty much just outright beat Zoe 1v1 after especially level 6.
It all depends on what type of fights they're taking. It's all about who can impose the will on the other champion. Zed, if he can get up in Zoe's face, there's not much she can do. She's not all too mobile. She has her ultimate, but as we all know, it's just zip there and zip back. And so as soon as Zed gets up in the face of Zoe, it's over for her.
Yeah, and it actually looks like the jungler being picked for Maximum Magnus is going to be a Zac. So, I don't know his champion pool, but it is a little bit uncharacteristic just from my personal perspective because of that Shaco ban, because of that impressive Warwick play, and that pick that he's going for a more AoE, less sort of pick comp. Well, I guess the slingshot is incredible for ganking, but we'll have to see how he plays the Zac. Doesn't quite do as much damage or have the utility to chase down champions like the Warwick does.
but he definitely has the displacement tools that you need to be successful in a coordinated team fight. You know, he can do a lot of things with his ultimate, especially if he's smart about where he's placing it.
Yeah, and so they actually do end up giving Thresh straight back to Avada Kedavra. So we'll have to see what kind of plays he can make with that Thresh again. This time he's actually up against a Varus who has way less escape options compared to a Tristana. So we'll definitely have to look for a lot more ganks bot, as well as a lot of early mid lane and top lane pressure, because Renekton is a fantastic 1v1 and 2v1, especially champion for that top lane. Really aggressive pick coming out for Slant Lord instead of that Jarvan that got target banned from him.
Want to know why they're banning that Shaco so religiously? Just did a little bit of research. 84 games played on Shaco, 55% win rate, and what is that? 4 KDA.
Wow, that is impressive. So
that is
he has
terrifying Shaco.
So he has consistent ratings on a Shaco. He has a consistent KDA, and as we just saw from that last match, he has a very consistent inconsistency in his gank patterns. Because wow, he is going hard in that jungle, all over the map. So much map presence everywhere, as well as very good vision control coming out from that jungler.
Consistent inconsistency. I like, that's a good way to describe his pattern.
It's a mix-up, you know.
You never know where he's going, and that's what you want with a jungler.
I've been personally playing a lot of fighting games recently, and the biggest thing in those are mix-ups. So there's all types of mix-ups, including the no mix-up, which is you just do exactly what you're supposed to be doing. They kind of overthink themselves, and I think Maximum Magnus has that potential. He's shown his prowess as a jungler, but we'll have to see his potential and his synergy along with Avada Kedavra, because it looks like they were working together really well with the Thresh Warwick pick composition that they had going for them.
What fighting game have you been playing recently?
So I've been playing a good bit of Super Smash Bros. Melee, as well as that new game that just came out, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Both of them actually really fun. Xenoverse is the old one. FighterZ just came out I think last month, maybe. And I've just been learning fighting games, which is completely new to me. It is an entire different world, because I spent years of my life playing League, and wow, it is so different.
It's different, but it's just as much of an intellectual game as League is. I was big into Street Fighter 4, and I was actually top 500 T-Hawk online for a while. Ooh. So, the game is less about, and this goes for League too, it's less about knowing yourself and more about understanding your enemy. If you can know what they're going to do before they do it, there's no counterplay to that.
Yeah, I've always been really interested in Street Fighter as a fighting game, just because it looks amazing, and it looks like it looks just really fun in terms of the way the mental game works. Because that's my favorite thing about the way League and fighting games works, is most of the games, like well-made games, have a good neutral game. And neutral game in fighting games means basically if you see two boxers or two UFC fighters in an arena, they're trying to figure out what the first person's going to do, what the first strike is going to be. And it's the same deal in League. Top lane, bot lane, and mid lane, especially mid and top lane, where you have these 1v1s and people are just trying to read each other into gaining that first little advantage possible.
And it is all about those little advantages, because that is what can start the snowball to get your team ahead. And especially look into the two compositions of both of these teams. They both have very, I would say, early game oriented teams. And so you have the powerful lane dominance of Renekton in the top side for El Paso. You have the Zed, which is going to try and go all around the map once he hits that level 6 power spike. And you also have the Nidalee, who is also very strong early on, very mobile, can get over all the barriers, and take some truly unique jungle paths, to get where he wants to get to.
You'll have to see what their playstyle is this game, because personally I've only seen Rio Grande Valley. They've really worked on their team comps, as in kind of more wombo combo oriented, kind of more 5v5 in an open field, like mid lane oriented team comp. But this is the first time I've seen them kind of go for like a more 1v1 dueling comp, which they have these picks, as you said, Zed, Nidalee, and Varus, especially with those corrupting tendrils. A lot of picks potential in the bot lane. It looks like we'll probably be seeing a lot of focus on the bot lane from both teams in this game.
If I had to guess, the way that El Paso pulls this one out is with going with a split push style of play. They're going to need to get early advantages in the lanes, and they're going to be able to transition that into putting pressure all around the map at one single point in time. They don't have the best team fighting composition. They don't have much CC. Basically three members of their team have no way to hard CC the opponent, while you have a lot more of that on Rio Grande's side.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to be following around Maximum Magnus as well as Avada Kedavra, the jungler and the support, around the map, because last game they were making a ton of plays, roaming from the top side, from the bottom side, and getting picks as well as perfect angles in team fights. They really know how to position, and they really know how to push that advantage.
Absolutely. And so it seems like they're going for, pretty standard starts, nothing cheeky. They went for that death bush as a preventative measure, but they just seem to just taking it easy to start the second game out.
Yeah, Maximum Magnus actually getting poked out by a little bit of a cheeky spear and forced to back. And I don't think that Rio Grande Valley knows that they forced the back. Otherwise, they could be pushing up on this. Do they have info on this alternate?
I don't know how they would.
Yeah,
that Tark's playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, both of them are. Look at this. Okay, neither of them know each other there. This is crazy. What a crazy position for alternate time to hold. By
holding such an aggressive position, you can try and get some information on how they're starting up the jungle path, but seem no harm, no foul on both sides of the team, and just going to start transitioning into your more run-of-the-mill starts.
You'll have to see if Ariel Quadra can keep up with this Nidalee against the Zac, trying to lay down some early pressure as opposed to where Zac can really only slingshot in and doesn't have as much kill potential as Nidalee does. But he does have the CC, and both junglers having double buffs working their way up to the top lane. We'll have to see how this lane plays out, because this was the lane of focus in the early game last match.
You're mentioning that the Zac does not bring the kill pressure, and while that is 100% true, all three of the lanes he will be ganking, they have pressure of their own. All Renekton needs is just a second to close the gap, and then he can get in and really do some damage. And especially Zoe, if the Zac can come in, get a slow or get a snare, not necessarily a snare, but the displacement with his stretchy little arms.
The Sleepy Trouble Bubble landing on Taria the Quadra. I just looked at the name. That is the actual name. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ends up forcing the flash out of the Nidalee, out of Arya, and another Sleepy Trouble Bubble landing onto Sacred Warrior. Thor really going hard with this this kind of control style in the mid lane. A little bit of a 1v2 going on, honestly. 1v1 and a separate 1v1, but she handled that really well, laying down all the pressure, and lands another bubble. She's going to have the kill pressure on this. Ooh,
the camera's being such a tease for us right now, but going to the top side, the Zac's coming up. Might be able to get the kill, but the first blood goes over to Vladimir.
He ends up tagging. Oh, what an insane stretching arm. As well as the red buff tag. It does look like Terra Moon could go down. And
the passive will keep him safe, even if he does get popped.
Barely. Maximum Magnus, knowing his limits, showing he knows his limits, and decent trade going down in the top lane.
Bot side get away with just the skin of their teeth on that one.
Yeah, you could see they barely got caught out by that death sentence, and the other side barely got caught out by the piercing arrow. Thresh face tanking it a little bit. I think honestly the piercing arrow could have killed Nautical right there. had there been no Thresh body block, because that does reduce the damage by quite a bit.
I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Look at that.
Yeah, I believe, reduced
15%
Yep.
for
enemy hit. And
all right, but we have the return gank coming down to keep the pressure.
Yeah.
They both still have their flash, but the heal and the counter pressure from the ignite are both gone. But after a missed spear, just gonna go back to base.
yeah, and we can already see this bot lane pressure is the same. That is the Arya style, as I am seeing in these games, which is she really likes to pressure down in this bot lane with the Nidalee, with the Sejuani. Doesn't matter what champion Arya's picking. There's just a lot of bot lane pressure, but she might need to pressure the mid lane and the top lane a little bit more. Slantlord looking like a huge problem for Terrat Moon. Look at this aggression. Out-trading Vlad, out-sustaining Vlad, which is very hard to do. As well as in the mid lane, Thor is out-trading Sacred Warrior like crazy. But he will be waiting for that level 6 power spike where he can start to do some flashy plays onto Thor.
As you're just touching on, yeah. Oh, we got a fight coming into the mid lane. The missed spear is not going to lead to much, but did make the Zoe blow her flash.
Yep. Perfect shadow control right there. Throwing out the slow immediately, and good synergy coming out from Sacred Warrior as well as Arya, knowing to engage at the same exact time and forcing the flash right there. But a flash onto the top lane, and Slantlord just ends up instantly killing Vlad, as well as the Sleepy Trouble Bubble landing onto Sacred Warrior in the mid lane. 2 quick kills going down for El Paso, showing their team asserting their team dominance as well as their solo lane dominance.
As we expected in the beginning, the Renekton is just going to be able to bully the Vladimir, and similarly to Zoe is going to be able to bully that Zed. They really need to hit those level 6 and start getting some items underneath their belt, and when they want to start making a difference in this game.
Yeah, that was incredible when the camera snapped to the top lane of Slantlord battling it out with Terrat Moon. I was kind of expecting a gank to come out, but then the camera snapped right back into the mid lane. Ended up being Slantlord pushing an insane advantage with his, just a longsword. But he flashes onto Terrat Moon and instantly kills him with the Enraged Fury, his Renekton W. And that just does way too much damage for Vlad to heal back, because that is a sustain character. And sustain loses to burst.
All right, now taking a look at the farm, it seems pretty even across the board. They've been some kills being traded here and there, but nothing's really amounted to anything, more than just a couple kills. Pretty even across the board.
But you can see the difference in the pressure in terms of the jungle. You can see that Maximum Magnus, as well as Arya, are kind of on the same clear route, but Maximum Magnus has the 2-kill lead over Arya. And the reason I bring this up is because Arya just had to call for help to do blue buff from alternate time. And Maximum Magnus is clearing his jungle without a care in the world, no troubles, and is getting some free ganks off with this engage down in the mid lane. Has Sacred Warrior used his death?
It just came off of cooldown.
Yeah, the stopwatch. Oh, the death mark actually popping. She pops the stopwatch way too early. And Sacred Warrior getting that kill that I was talking about earlier. The level 6 power spike.
So with that stopwatch, I wasn't able to catch it in time. Did she manage to negate the pop damage, or was it just too early?
So I believe she hit the stopwatch the second the death mark landed on her. Maximum Magnus looks like he's in a little bit of trouble right here. Getting chased down and getting tagged with the red buff. Sacred Warrior, oh, the jukes on him though gets... Oh, wow, what a juke. He narrowly dodges the spear, and that ends up saving his life because the shuriken was just enough to bring him down to that low of health, which the spear definitely would have finished off. But that death mark going down onto Zoe in the mid lane, she pops the stopwatch a little bit too late, just a little bit too late for it to catch the death mark and negate it completely, and way too early for it to negate the death mark pop, which is exactly what happened.
Going in on the top side, managing to catch the Vladimir off guard by coming into the bush. Not able to convert it into a kill, but it's always scary and kind of frustrating when you're going up against a Renekton. He can just come out of nowhere, half healthy, and just zip away like nothing ever happened to him.
And so Renekton is one of these characters then that, like, since the dawn of time in League of Legends lore, at least, in terms of him being in the game, has been such a threat to, well, everyone. In his time of being in the game, Renekton is known as one of the strongest top lane characters, one of the strongest bruisers in the game, and that is why Arya is completely avoiding that top lane. If he were to gank top lane, that would be an easy 2v1 for the Renekton. But speaking of 2v1s, if you multiply that by 2, that's a 4v2. And they're catching that Thresh down real quick in the bot lane. Nothing he could do. Alternate time with a beautiful stun onto that, onto the Thresh. And Avada Kedavra actually showing a little bit of lack of vision control down the bot lane. Gets caught out by 4 people standing in one bush. That's kind of interesting.
I gotta say that was some quick maths you did there. But we got the Sleepy Trouble Bubble coming in, but missing it just because it was a shadow. The dragon does get reset as it comes back into the pit as they're dragging it back out there. The Zac comes in trying to make a play. Cosmic Radiance giving them the invincibility that they're going to need to take this little bit of damage.
Yeah, Nautical looking a little bit lost. Melee range in front of face first in front of a Zed, and it looks like there was just miscommunication all over the board right there for El Paso. It looked like they wanted to battle out the dragon, but kind of not really, and at the same time, alternate time is getting caught out right here, so it's a little bit of a free pick for them. However, that is a little bit of just a player error. It looked like they just had
poor pathing.
Yeah, they just had miscommunication right there if they wanted to go in or not, and they could have honestly clean sweeped Rio Grande Valley for 3-4 kills maybe, or 2-3 kills maybe.
I've been playing a lot of Zoe lately. And, oh, we got a fight coming in the top lane. The Vladimir actually engaged onto the Renekton, but looks like he's going to live or not live to regret that.
Oh, Maximum Magnus, though, trying to fight his way out of this corner. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble pops onto Zed, so he is asleep for a while, as well as the Death Sentence, as well as the Paddle Star landing at the exact same time on that Zed, getting a nice Retribution kill onto that Zed. Wow, the range on the Paddle Star, just a little bit too much. And
if the Nidalee tries to stay around, Caitlyn's ace in the hole is going to start coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that could just be a little bit of a free kill considering her positioning right now.
And it just came off cooldown. Let's see. Nah, she's already retreated. Nidalee's already retreated.
And Nautical, it looks like he's having some trouble right here. And thread the needle death sentence through the minions underneath the tower. A beautiful death sentence coming out from Avada Kedavra, just as we were saying in Champion Select. You're going to want to be looking for the plays with this guy because, wow, his death sentences are on point, as well as the synergy from Thor and Nautical. The ace in the hole as well as Paddlestar hitting at the exact same time, striking the opponent through the heart at the exact same time with those incredible ranged attacks. She was not ready for that at all.
No. And if anyone was wondering why Zoe has such a high pick ban rate in the LCS, this is exactly why. She can do so much damage, and the range she has is something else. You know, if you can throw a 2-second snare over a wall and have it gain distance, you know something needs a little bit of a tweak.
It's a 2-second stun, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But Deathmark going on to Thor right here. That's not going to be enough damage to pop the Deathmark, but, oh, it's a little bit too much. He's able to escape 1v3 right there. I don't know what the intention of that was, but kind of a flashy play, showing that Sacred Warrior isn't out of this game. He's trying to show his stuff and play the aggressive type. Not trying to get the morale, get to the best of him, because he is actually pretty even in terms of score versus Zoe. If you actually look, he has a 30 CS on top of the 30 CS lead on top of the Zoe.
And so the game, it's still pretty even. You know, the Vladimir is getting pushed out, and if he stays right now, he's just going to get killed. I don't know if doing that was the best plan. Sure enough, it does lead to the shutdown, but hey, that might be what the Nidalee needs to start getting ahead. She's now got a little bit of gold under her belt from that shutdown. She can start getting the items she needs to truly start having an impact in this game.
Yeah, you don't want to be giving Nidalee that, like a path back into the game, but Slantlord getting a little bit too overconfident. Look at his build. He's going pretty much, a little bit of miscommunication right there between Zoe and Thresh right there. The Death Sentence not quite landing onto the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and alternate time able to tank all of that damage up because Tarek is insane, but What an insane grab, as well as a slingshot from Maximum Magnus. They're really trying to push for these picks down the mid lane. It's only 2v4 here in this mid lane. It looks like they're going for this rotational tower pressure with that Infernal Dragon. They just took out bot, and they're going for mid. They're hungry for more tower blood.
And they're going to be able to pretty easily siege this until that ultimate comes out. They did catch the Caitlyn off guard. They weren't able to secure the kill from it. And it seems like the fight's going to be a little bit scattered. They don't have any consistent DPS now that the ADC's out of the picture.
Yeah, the fight is a little bit all over the place, but Ruby getting the oh my god, Maximum Magnus is going right back in, but the stopwatch is a little bit too much. He has heal too. He got heal baited. Maximum Magnus got heal baited, and a whole ton of miscommunication coming out there from El Paso. It looked like they were coming in a little bit too overconfident in that fight. Somehow Nautical actually got away from that fight healthy, did not die, and which is honestly surprising.
He did. Something that can we do a little bit of a resync? Can the casters and the stream just drag up to the front so we're all on the same page? I'm at 5:15.
Hit that speed up button. Yep, I'm right there with you.
Awesome.
And right there, we saw a lot of miscommunication. That entire fight actually started because Nautical was a little bit too bloodthirsty for that tower, and we'll have to see a little bit of an improvement from him because he doesn't look like he's doing too poorly, right? But it seems like the DPS is going to be in favor of Rio Grande's team because the Varus is 3-1-3, and his positioning and his picks are doing a lot better than Caitlyn's overall kind of DPS, as well as he's not able to apply a lot of that DPS because he's melee range in a lot of these fights. Starting in the beginning of these fights, if you look, the Caitlyn is at melee range, and that is not good for Caitlyn's DPS.
Especially when you have one of the longer auto attack ranges in the game. But we have the Zed going on to the Zoe, hits the Sleepy Trouble Bubble before anything can actually start to happen.
Oh, both.
You might be able to get out of this, and the Zed just goes back to a shadow.
Both flashes forced. I don't think Sacred Warrior had to force the flash right there, but hooked a Death Sense onto Arya. They're really pressuring down this bot lane. Avada Kedavra, a huge playmaker right here, putting down all the pressure as well as this vision control around the Dragon Pit.
So, as we saw with the last game, or rather, there seems to be much more of a focus on objectives here. 3 towers have been taken at this, 60 minutes into the game as opposed to one at the past time.
On Slant Lord, he is way too overzealous right here, but he's looking for a 1v3. Look how much damage he did in that situation, 1v3. That is incredible, but he did get spotted out by that ward right into that bush by the Raptor camp, and Rio Grande Valley realized that he was horribly out of position. You could see all the pings coming down, and they collapsed on him 3v1.
They definitely capitalized on that, but looking at the Renekton's build, he has a whole lot of nothing right now, just a bunch of parts. Yep. But as soon as he completes those, it's going to be something serious.
But an Engage going down in the bot lane, the Corrupting Tendrils going down, as well as the Cosmic Radiance. Avada Kedavra is swinging away with this chain, and actually ends up killing Varus on his own, but Zoe is out of the picture. Where did she go? She is so low health, and Zed swoops in and steals that kill away, as well as Nidalee coming out as well and stealing that kill away. What is Slant Lord doing? Look at this miscommunication coming out from El Paso. They kind of just threw their lead away, and now Rio Grande Valley is right back into the game with a 2,000 gold lead, pretty much.
These are the fights that Rio Grande Valley are going to want to take. They're the sloppy fights where their duelists can really shine. They got the Zed being able to burst the single characters, and the Nidalee just taking pop shots and jumping in and out. Those are what's going to keep them in the game and eventually put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and look at Maximum Magnus right here. He's lurking alone around this bottom tower, but he is, once again, completely alone, and he's going to try and initiate this 1v2. They're really just going for the tower right here, but
his passive is available, given it.
Yep, and look at this. They've stalled enough time for Zac to clear a wave. Death Sentence underneath the tower as well as a flay, and just getting really greedy for that tower. They had to sacrifice the Taric right there, and that might be a huge problem, especially considering this Nidalee is now asleep and dead. She is in the dirt right now. As an insane pick composition. They're really making this pick composition work for El Paso, bringing it right back, saying, no, just because we lost that team fight doesn't mean we're out of this game. We're going to put our heads back together, communicate a little bit better, and pick out two members of your team.
What's been the difference from what I've seen is that Arya on the Nidalee hasn't not been able to land the spears that she needs, while Thor on the Zoe has been able to land those bubbles. He's been getting picks left and right with it.
Alright, never mind. Sacred Warrior was looking for the dive onto the Zoe right there, but not really a great idea considering, well, actually, I think the stopwatch is gone. Yeah, it is a broken stopwatch, but they're focusing down this Ocean Dragon. And as a response, they summon Rift Herald. El Paso summons Rift Herald and barrels right down this mid lane. Look at the positioning right here. They know all of them are taking down that dragon, so there's not that much of a chance of collapse from the top lane.
And it was smart for them to force that fight middle while they were taking the dragon.
And it looks like there's a fight mid lane, but an incredible pick, an incredible Yordle snap trap from Caitlyn, as well as a death sentence. They pick away the Vladimir right away. He's already weak to start with, but Cosmic Radiance coming down on so many of the team members of Rio Grande Valley, and they are just shredding away actually at El Paso. All the health on the team members just suddenly just dropped. All those health bars suddenly just went red, and now they're pushing back with an answer. That gold lead is really telling something, and they're running away together in a group. And it looks like they're just going to pressure down this mid lane now that they have free reign.
That is the scary part of Broby on the bars. He has that Rage Blade, and he's able to start doing a ton of damage once that thing gets fully stacked in a team fight.
Yeah, he's really pushing his advantage with his Taric. Beautiful Cosmic Radiance during that team fight, catching, I believe, 3 to 4 members of the entire team. That is beautiful invincibility and good positioning from the rest of the team. And it looks like the CC and the utility was just not enough from El Paso. They couldn't fend off that collapse engage from all 3 of those sides. The traps weren't enough, the flag wasn't enough, and a pause comes down, actually. Let's see what's going on. So
while we're waiting to hear back from what's happening in-game, we can take a look at the CS differential. And so what we expected topside, the Renekton's just been bullying the Vladimir, has a comfortable 30 to 40 CS lead on his lane opponent. What do you think's happening now in the mid lane? It started out pretty Zoe-sided, but now Sacred Warrior is starting to make a comeback, especially in the CS department.
I think Sacred Warrior is he's pushing all of the right places to get this advantage, to get this 1v1 potential back, and try and outscale this Zoe, but it is going to be a tough one. He does have 54 CS over top of Thor. Sacred Warrior 01 is actually a sub. They did end up subbing him in for Elvin. The Syndra performance not really looking too strong, and the Zed performance looking quite a bit different. A lot more pressure overall on the map. And considering pressure, look at that Duskblade proc and Ignite onto Slant Lord. They're really trying to barrel down onto this kill. Arya is going down onto this chase. Slant Lord looking so tasty right now, and they end up capitalizing on the kill. Maximum Magnus, as well as Nautical and Avada Kedavra. Everyone is coming in. The Lantern comes down, and the collapse on that gank pretty well, actually. Slant Lord got a little bit caught out there, and, well, they just capitalized on it really well. It looked like some miscommunication at first, but the rest of the team was behind Maximum Magnus.
Potentially, if Maximum was to jump onto the Zed, he might have been able to save his teammate, but went for the Nidalee instead, and managed to catch him once the team arrived.
Yep, good, clean, simple play right here, coming in for Rio Grande Valley, but a re-engage coming in from El Paso. Maximum Magnus is just all over the place. A little bit of a camera trouble for myself, so I wasn't able to see that last kill, but a good pick coming out from El Paso. What did you see right there that was important for them to turn around that fight?
So what was the biggest thing was that the Zoe hit the Sleepy Trouble bubble onto the Vladimir right as he went into his pool. And so since he went into his pool, here we have the Zed trying to make some plays, but with the Zoe flash over the wall, she gets out scot-free.
Yeah, they
as
do.
I was saying,
oh, sorry.
As I was saying, though, the Vladimir got slept right as he went into his pool, and so the entire time that he was asleep, he was underground, which you wouldn't think would be a big problem. but once he came out of his pool, he was still slept. And since no one disturbed the sleepy bubble damage bonus, Zoe was able to clonk him in the head with a paddle star, basically nuking him down to nothing.
But I do think that might have been, well, not exactly worth it, but I think they will take that trade. I think they'll walk away from that trade happy because that denied El Paso the Baron buff right there, and both teams just have to reset. You can see how thirsty they were for stopping that Baron. There's so many wards in that pit right now, just trying to throw down for just the tiniest slight bit of vision to deny that Baron.
Transitioning into the gold differentials, no one is sitting on a bunch of gold right now. We got a fight breaking out in the middle.
Yeah, Turret Moon forced to Zhonya's and Pool, and the Death Sentence coming on to alternate time, but it is not enough. Thousand Canadians coming on to 3 of the team members of Rio Grande Valley, and the passive is popped for Zac. It looks like they will try to smite that little last piece away, and he does end up going down, and Renekton is finally into the fight. He disengages, and oh my god, a fantastic three-man play coming out from Avada Kedavra. He is laying down so much CC, and this fight is all over the place. Deathmark coming down onto Slant Lord is not quite taking him down, but the heal coming out from Thor, and he is able to save Slant Lord. Thor is 1v3 in the situation, but I've never seen a more doable 1v3. And Nidalee is now asleep. Oh! Carrot Moon coming back saying, I am in this game. Do not forget about me. Just because Renekton has been beating me in lane does not mean I'm useful later, which is exactly why they picked that Vladimir. And he ends up catching both Zoe and Renekton out trying to run and gets a double kill for that.
And it looks like they're going to try and transition into the Baron, which could be a risky play. They got a lot of damage, but they don't have, that much health. And so they're making the smart, more conservative play, going to take tower and open up the map for themselves a little bit.
Yeah, but they are going to capitalize on that lone Taric getting slingshotted on, and the Let's Bounce a little bit too strong now. Pulling Taric so far behind that tower. It's a little bit inevitable, that death, if they wanted that greedy push down to the mid lane, and that was their cost.
The important thing that came from that Taric kill is that it came onto their ADC. Their ADC has been struggling. The Zed has been doing a number on them. And so getting a little bit of extra gold can go a long way for trying to get this Caitlyn back up to fighting level.
Yeah, she is going for that rapid fire cannon right now. Both ADCs actually pretty even, trying to finish up both of their third items. And it looks like Varus is actually opting for maybe a Maw, or maybe he'll transition to a Runons. But we'll have to see if this Caitlyn can maintain her positioning and maintain good DPS from a decent range, and hopefully we won't see melee range Caitlyn again.
And so you're definitely right about the Varus. He's trying to build as much AP, as he can. He has the...
Oh, wow. Look at this top lane fight.
Is incredible.
Yeah, the death mark is a little bit too much. Yep, the additive damage on there. Renekton does not have enough armor built. In fact, no armor built at all. That is the problem with Renekton. You get so powerful and so dominant that you end up playing a little bit too overconfident. And look at his build. It is a Yomu's. He has a Black Cleaver on the way and a Hexdrinker. None of that is armor at all. And Zed is their main primary AD damage, where Varus is mixed damage, and Zed is just a perfect duelist for a Renekton with no armor.
And as I was saying earlier in the match, we were mentioning that the Renekton's build wasn't that complete. He had a bunch of half items completed, and while he's completed the Yomu's, he still has 3 half-built items. But it looks like we're transitioning into a little bit of a base race here.
Yeah, all of the team, 4 team members of Rio Grande Valley, and Maximum Magnus is using his big body as pressure, and wow, they're actually base racing this, forcing the backs. Oh my god, Maximum Magnus is forcing or stopping all of the backs. I don't think he cares at all about dying right here, because they're going for this win push. Nautical with that DPS, doesn't matter if he can put out DPS on the champions, because he's putting all the DPS on both of these Nexus towers, as well as the Nexus. I think Rio Grande Valley should have just kept going with that base race, because wow, what a push and what a decisive, decision made from El Paso to just base race that, and what a surprisingly abrupt finish to that game.
That game was far from over, and UTEP just brought it way back to a quick conclusion.